The way we consume and share news today is largely rooted in social media outlets. I mean, without it, how would I even know about this really affordable meal all the way over in Incheon? Let's talk about all the issues and trends on our social media minute. This morning, we're joined by Erica. Good morning.
Hi.
A really affordable breakfast.
Yeah.
That might just change my life.
Are you a breakfast person?
If I'm not working, it's my favorite meal of the day.
Yeah.
Right?
But if you were to have breakfast every morning, what time would you have to get up to have like a proper breakfast?
4 a.m.
4 a.m.
Yeah.
That's tough.
And 4:30 is, I mean, that 30 minutes, I know it sounds like it's not a big deal, but think about it, guys. It's before sunrise. It is a big deal. Are you a big breakfast person?
I love breakfast. During the week, I usually have it after the show. Yeah.
Oh, fancy.
Once I'm at my next work. Yeah.
Once you're at your next work.
Yeah.
Does that workplace provide you with better breakfast?
No, I provide myself with my own breakfast.
Okay, so the life of a freelancer that juggles a lot. All right. We'll get to that story in just a moment. But first, the return of something really exciting for those who love to picnic by the Hangang River and just watch the rainbow fountain.
It feels funny to say the fountains are coming back. You know what I mean?
It's not like it went anywhere.
Yeah, they were always there, but they just weren't operated during the COVID-19 pandemic. So the 9 fountains at Hangang River Parks are making a comeback after a 2-year break. As of Friday last week, the Seoul Metropolitan Government's Hangang Project headquarters is once again operating the Moonlight Rainbow Fountain.
Is that the one by Pampo?
Yes.
Or the on Pampo Bridge?
Yeah, I think that's the favorite one.
I think so.
Yeah,
I mean,
for many
it's
people.
Quite the sight to see. I mean, there are the rainbow lights juxtaposed with the fountain.
And the mist from the fountains.
Yeah.
And it looks like Seoul citizens are very happy. They're sharing photos of the fountain on what else but social media.
Of course.
A bit of an update on this Moonlight Rainbow Fountain. It recently had its old lights replaced with new LED lights.
How about that? Sustainability, it's in. So it should last a little bit longer this time around. The Rainbow Fountain is a beloved landmark of Seoul's nighttime scenery. Little by little, baby steps, things that we loved are making comebacks. Concerts, they're back.
Yeah.
Baseball games, we just talked about
That's
them.
right.
It's back in full swing, reminding us that maybe what we once had, we'll have again.
That's right. The Rainbow Fountain is currently the longest bridge fountain in the world.
Is
Did you
that
know?
so?
Yeah, it set a Guinness World Record, in fact, for being the longest bridge fountain in the world back in 2008. It still holds that title. The fountain pumps out 190 tons of water from the river every minute through its 380 nozzles. The 8 remaining fountains, including the music fountain over at Tuksum, Hangang River Park, and the water fountain in Yeouido Hangang River Park will also resume operations starting next month.
All right, so maybe our spring going into summer will be more exciting and eventful in a
the
positive
flowers
way.
are starting to come out too.
I saw there are certain schools around our station that house some of the most beautiful trees. And, you know, I tell myself every year I'm not a big pink person. And so...
You're not a pink person?
No, I'm not a pink person. Have you ever seen me in pink? No.
No, actually not.
Neutral colors, earthy tones. And I'm really boring in that sense. But my point being, I didn't think I would be a fan of cherry blossoms, but every spring I'm reminded, ooh, maybe I can be a pink person.
One thing that I love to do these days during my lunch break, my school is located really close to Changdeokgung Palace and Changgyeonggung Palace.
You're so lucky.
All within walking distance, very close. So I walk to the palaces just to look at the flowers.
Oh, Erica.
And, you know, take a bit of a, I don't know, a breather. It's so good. It's good for my health.
You guys, and that's just so romantic. I took a stroll during my lunch break at Changdeokgung. Who says that? Erica does. On to our second story today. Scientists discovering that one smell humans universally prefer over all others is kind of an unexpected one.
You know, when we talk about vanilla, it's often sort of like, you know, it's belittled for being boring and safe.
You're so vanilla.
Yeah, right? But it looks like vanilla has now been crowned the world's favorite smell by a team of international scientists.
I beg to differ, but
Yeah.
let's take a look at the study.
Let's do that. So scientists from the University of Oxford and Karolinska Institute in Stockholm presented 10 different scents to 235 people.
Okay.
The participants of the experiment were from 9 different cultures around the world. They included people from urban areas in America, Mexico, and Thailand, as well as secluded farmers living in the South American mountains, hunter-gatherers in the Southeast Asian rainforest, and fishing communities on Central America's Pacific coast.
Gotcha.
Yep.
They tried to be really specific with the sample group that they were gauging.
right.
How was the experiment specifically carried out?
So field scientists were recruited for the projects. They had to work in remote areas, and their job was to get scented vials to isolated people, individuals, with little or no prior exposure to Western odors.
Okay, and vanilla classifies as something.
That's right. And since the participants live in diverse environments with distinct smells, for example, the rainforest, the smell of the coast, mountains, and cities, the scientists were able to capture many different types of odor experiences.
Really?
Yeah.
Odor experiences?
Yeah.
That sounds pungent. So they want to examine if people around the world have the same smell perception and maybe like the same types of odor, or whether this is something that is culturally learned through pop culture or exposure in cities.
Yes, that's right. Traditionally, it's been seen as cultural, but scientists have now discovered that culture actually has very little to do with it.
What?
Irrespective of where in the world people live, what language they speak, and what they eat.
I think that's the fascinating part of the study, right? So it's almost predetermined, and we gravitate towards certain scents no matter where we come
That's
from
right.
culturally, or I suppose geographically too in this case. So what were the 10 scents used in the trial?
Well, they were chosen deliberately, but to be representative of all the odors found in the world, and they included chemicals that smelled like sweaty feet, decaying, rotting fish, mushrooms, lavender, and of course vanilla. Participants in the study were asked to smell each chemical and rate how pleasant they found it compared with the other 9.
Suddenly I'm gathering why vanilla came out on top. I mean, compared to sweaty feet, just saying, guys. But vanilla came out as the most preferred smell of the study.
That's right. The scent of vanilla was followed by a chemical that smells like peaches and a lavender-like scent. And at the other end of the scale, the most unpleasant smells were chemicals which smell like sweaty feet, rotting fish, and overly ripe green peppers.
What does that smell like?
I'm trying to imagine.
Why?
I don't know. I'm just curious. Overly ripe green peppers?
Does that smell particularly bad is the curiosity, right? I mean, because decaying fish, I can imagine, unfortunately. Sweaty feet, I can unfortunately almost see right in front of me. But overly ripe green peppers, if any of our listeners know, let us know. What does that smell like? Now, the trends were consistent for all 10 compounds in all 9 locations.
Yes, that's right. Now, the takeaway from this trial is that cultures around the world rank different odors in a similar way, no matter where they come from.
That's really interesting. Does odor have anything to do with the increased chance of survival?
That is one speculation.
Okay.
Scientists say certain odors may be historically linked to an increased chance of survival. For example, our sense of smell may trigger a dislike for a certain smell because it was associated with, say, a toxic plant by our ancient ancestors.
Sure.
On the other hand, we may enjoy certain other smells because they were produced by other plants that were safe to consume.
That makes sense. I suppose that's why we're so thrown off by decaying fish and overly ripe green peppers. Sweaty feet, I don't know. Is that
because
a modern
it makes
thing?
us sick.
There you go. On the other end of the spectrum, we love vanilla. That's apparently universal. So maybe vanilla can do a little bit of rebranding.
Here's the thing, though. Certain cheeses hailing from France smell like sweaty feet, and some people love them.
Food
including
for
me.
thought. That's delicious.
Speaking of food,
101 Breakfast Project providing quality meals for Incheon National University students. All I'm thinking this morning is lucky students.
yeah, so a certain Mr. Park Chang-hoon, who heads Incheon National University's Consumer Life Cooperative, he's been in charge of something called the 1,000 Won Breakfast Project for Incheon National University students since 2016. By the way, 1,000 1,000 won is equivalent to around 82 cents.
So even that is really affordable.
Exactly. Now, this welfare project aims to encourage healthy eating habits by providing cheap breakfasts for college students who, many of them actually typically skip the first meal of the day.
Even though we're reminded that it's the breakfast of champions, it's the most important meal of the
Yeah.
day. It's about time and I don't know, being caught up with too many responsibilities usually.
That's right. Now, currently 27 universities in Korea provide breakfast to 1,001 breakfast to students with the support of agriculture, forestry, and fisheries, food education, and culture information service. And of the 27 universities, Incheon National University became the first one to introduce the 101 breakfast in November last year. So 101 is how much? 8 cents?
8 cents.
That is
8.2 cents to
ridiculous.
be exact.
And if you take a look at the photos of these meals,
Yes.
they look really healthy. And
That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's a full like Korean breakfast with
Yeah.
the rice and the soup and a few side
Banchan.
dishes and I don't
Sometimes
wanna,
dessert too.
I don't want to throw certain workplaces under the bus, but it gets better meal plans than ones I pay for at certain companies.
That's
certain companies, not
Yeah.
Arirang.
So Mr. Park got subsidized, and he also signed a partnership with
Yeah.
the Payco app
Okay.
to allow students to receive an additional 900 won discount if they purchased breakfast tickets through this app.
So you get even a heftier discount.
yeah.
Might as well give it out for free. But anyway, 101 meal over at Incheon University, I think that's amazing.
It is. Now, a single meal would cost around 4,000 won normally. And again, these 101 meals don't look like 101 meals.
They really don't.
They look like they've been lovingly prepared, full of
Yeah.
nutrients the students need. Mr. Park says he had a difficult time early in 2020 because of the pandemic. There were no students at school because everything was online,
Right.
So they had to discontinue this welfare project for a semester.
Okay.
But then he was able to secure the funds again.
And bring it back.
Yes.
I mean, if you have a good cause, I do feel like people are willing to chime in quite literally and maybe pay a heftier price so the students can have a cheaper meal. Apparently, there's a big demand for this early morning breakfast meal.
Yes, hundreds of students actually eat this breakfast every day.
I mean, why wouldn't you?
Exactly.
Thanks, Erica. Are you going to have your stroll today too?
I think so. It's still a little bit chilly out,
It
if you
really
noticed, but
is.
it's getting warmer slowly.
Have a good stroll.
You
have
too.
a good breakfast. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.
If you're listening to our program using the podcast service, just a reminder that we do go live Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. Korea Standard Time. So tune in and help us make the show more informative by giving us your input. See you bright and early on Good Morning Seoul.